Hey there, how's everybody doing? Um, we're just going to wait not a couple minutes, but at least a minute or so to let some other folks begin to go ahead on and log in and get connected. I'm Jini Thornton, by the way, and we appreciate y'all tuning in to our PPP webinar today. So, and thank y'all for being patient. We're using Teams. I know a lot of us have been using Zoom, but we primarily use Teams in our office. So we were trying to switch it up a little bit and see how this Teams Live works. So go ahead on and get situated. And in your toolbar, you should see the Q&A section. So we really want to make sure that we're addressing your specific questions. So if you could go ahead on and you can start populating your questions now. You don't even have to wait till then. So go ahead and get your questions ready for us. And again, we'll just take another minute and let everybody begin to get settled and checked in. While people are getting settled, again, I'm Jini Thornton, and I am CEO of Envision Business Management Group. I think a lot of y'all we have worked with over the years. It's a little crazy to say it. This is my 25th year in the music business. Clearly, I have never seen a year quite like 2020, though, hence the reason why we're here today. And I'm really excited about the webinar today because our team has come together because we've gotten so many questions from you guys. You know, we have a lot to navigate. We have a lot to figure out. And so our team came together and said, you know what, instead of us addressing everybody individually, we're going to do a webinar, something quick and short, just so that way we could be a resource to you guys and make sure that you get exactly what you need to navigate some very interesting waters that we're in right now. So again, thanks for joining. And I want to make sure before I introduce the team, I want to make sure that you all are thinking about a couple things, because I know a lot of us are used to moving differently in music. Clearly, there aren't any shows happening right now. We're used to things being a little different, but I need to make sure that you're using this as a season of preparation. So I know it's kind of been feeling like a vacation, but we need to make sure that we are handling our business right now. The other thing I want to make sure that I want to encourage all of us to do is to make sure that we're really collaborating and working together, sharing resources, information, whatever it is, because that's the only way that we're all collectively as a community going to really make it through this time. I know I had really had an awakening probably about 2 weeks ago when a lot of the shows that we're working with, by the artists we're working with, most of our shows have been postponed to 2021. Then I was like, yeah, we're going to have to take a different approach. Okay. So I see the questions beginning to populate. Hey, Aaron, thank you for signing in. So what I'd like to do now is introduce our team who's going to come to you today and also go over our agenda. So of course, we're going to go over the, we have some handouts that you all got in the invitation. We want to go over that. We're going to actually show you all the PPP form, how to apply for the PPP, what is acceptable documentation. We're going to talk about unemployment. And again, we're going to answer all of your questions. I've been getting a ton of them. So please, again, post them. And we are going to really jump right into it. How are we doing on time? Okay, 3:03. Okay, so Oni Anderson, who's our COO at Envision, is going to kick us off. And then we're going to go to Chris Hollis and Brandi Hills, who are our amazing client managers at Envision. But Oni Anderson, Oni, if you could kind of kick us off right now and explain the handouts that people got, and also just kind of the fundamentals of this Paycheck Protection Program.
Hello, everybody. I am super excited. It's my first official webinar, so I'm really excited. So I'm glad everybody was able to join us today. And so we don't want to hold too much of your time. I'm going to go right into it, actually. So I'm going to share my screen so you all can be looking with me. So in that invitation that you received from us, there were 3 links at the bottom. There was a PPP fact sheet, there was a PP informational sheet, and there was a PPP application. So we're going to start with the PPP fact sheet. This is all over the internet. This is from the Treasury. It's official. It is the high points of what the program is, who's eligible, how to apply, and it's pretty quick and dirty. It's about 4 pages long. Now, I will say this, the rules are changing by the day. They're going on like the 3rd or 4th application now. So we have to give some grace that the government is trying to implement this process very quickly. And unfortunately, some things get left out along the way. So keep that in mind. This is constantly updating. So this is a great resource to take a look at, just to give you some basics of what the program is about. We've gone through and highlighted some really important sections for the group that we thought we were talking to today, which are mainly our independent contractors and our self-employed individuals. So we would like you to read this in its entirety. However, if you don't have time, the highlighted sections are very important to go through. The next form is the actual PPP application. This is on the SBA.gov's website. So that's the Small Business Administration website. And this is the actual form you would be completing to get a loan. And it is, again, I think they estimated to take about 10 minutes to complete. There's more questions than there actually in formulas or calculations. They want to, verify some federal information from you. Do you have any existing loans? Do you have any criminal history within the last 5 years that relates to a felony? You're certifying that you really need this money. So again, not hard, some information, but it is pretty simple. You can go to the SBA website and pull this up. And if you have any questions, please feel free to put some in the chat. Our next is the informational sheet. So this is Envision's way of just saying, hey, let's try to break this down in the everyday language. What is the PPP program? Who can apply? When can you apply? An approved lender, where do I go to even apply for this loan? What can it be used for? Here are the actual steps. And is it forgiving? Can it be forgiving? And then there's just some bottom things, some things that you really need to know, as far as some things people might not tell you. And we're not saying that you shouldn't apply if some of these situations apply to your situation, but we're just giving you a heads up. It could be your loan could not be approved if some of these situations apply to you. So it's just a really good 2-page handout to give you some really brief information. And of the short, what the PPP loan is, it is a way through the CARES Act for the government to help small businesses. During this crisis, how can we get money to help support small businesses in a very quick manner to pay their employees or themselves and some basic essential business needs like rent, utilities. And so that's the premise of what the loan is. And it is potentially forgivable if you are using it for the purpose that you said you were going to use it. So that's very high level. And then the rest of our presenters today will really start to dig in some of the other areas. So I don't want to take that shine. So that's all I have.
Okay, Ani, thanks very much. And for everybody who's tuned in, it's really important that you just take some time and go through those 3 handouts. Now, if you did not get them, please reach out to us. Whether you deal with one of our client managers directly or you deal with me, please reach out to us, because we want to make sure that you not just review at high level. The longest document, I believe, is 4 pages long, and we've highlighted the main sections. But we want to make sure that you're informed, because you don't just want to apply for the money, you actually want to get the money. So we want to make sure that you're clear on the steps, the rules, and like Ani said, even if you think you might not qualify because of some of the questions, we're suggesting that you apply anyway. Please don't allow that to discourage you or stop you. Okay. So, one more thing. I'm really excited about the fact that the actual PPP application literally takes 10 minutes to complete. This is the government's way of saying we want to get this money to people. They're not asking you about your credit, none of that. You don't have to be a personal guarantor. Just take the 10 minutes and get this form completed and submit it to your bank. Okay, so now I'm excited. We're getting ready to transition over to Chris Hollis, one of our client managers here at Envision, and she's going to highlight for you how to actually apply for the PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program.
Thank you, Jini, and thank you for everybody joining the call with us. We really appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to join us. And I am going to talk about where to apply for it. And it's actually very simple. The first step you want to do is contact your bank, the actual bank that you have an account with, and see if they are participating. And if they are, ask them to give you the steps that you need to go through to apply. Now, so far we've seen two different ways. Some banks actually have a portal that you can actually log into and complete the form inside the portal. And some banks will actually have you go download the SBA, the actual application from the SBA.gov's website and submit it. So those are the steps to go through if you're going through your actual bank. Now, in the event that your bank is not participating, we provided a link within the handout that we gave you that will actually allow you to put in your zip code and find a bank within your area that is participating. And once you find that bank, you can go ahead and submit the application through there. Just find out whatever their process is. Just keep in mind that you may actually have to open an account with them. So if that is the case, just be prepared to do that. And it's very easy to do.
All right, Chris, thank you for sharing that. Only thing that I want to emphasize that Chris just said, what I've noticed and the feedback that I'm getting from banks is if you are not currently a client, they may not process your application. So if your bank is not offering the program, you're going to have to not only go to a different bank, you probably are going to have to open up an account. So that's their way of, taking care of their own customers first. So please keep that in mind. Okay, so next we're just going to take a few minutes before we open up the Q&A. And again, just wanted to, for you, those of you just turning in, I'm Jini Thornton. We are Envision Business Management Group. We've been in the music industry 25 years, and we know how crazy it is for everybody right now. This webinar is really just to help all of us navigate these waters and get the money that we're entitled to. So we're going to open it up to Q&A in 1 minute. We're going to talk to Brandi Hills, another one of our client managers here, who's going to highlight what documents you need to prove what your income is. Because as sole proprietors and small businesses, you're going to have to do that. Okay, Brandi.
Hi, everyone. So thank you again for joining us. As Jini said, obviously, when you file for this loan, you will have to submit some documentation to actually be approved for this loan. And the documents that you must submit is dependent upon your business type. So please make sure you're noting this because this is one of the very key components that will determine the amount that you will receive. And so if you are a sole proprietor, meaning you are self-employed, no employees, typically you have a Schedule C form that is filed on your personal tax return. You're going to want to be able to give IRS that copy of your Schedule C, which shows the profit and the income and expenses from your job and basically your net profit. If for whatever reason you don't have your tax return completed, you can provide a profit and loss statement from your bookkeeping. Also, if you're an independent contractor, meaning you get 1099 miscellaneous forms from your employers, IRS considers you a sole proprietor. So with that, it's the same thing. Either you can provide a Schedule C or you will be expected to provide all of your 1099s. And then we have our economy workers, our gig economy workers like Lyft, Uber, Instacart. Typically, you all get 1099K forms. It's pretty similar to 1099 miscellaneous. But again, you want to be able to provide these 1099 forms or some type of Schedule C or profit and loss statement showing the income and expenses of your sole proprietorship. And if there are any, I don't know if we have any S corporations or C corporations on the call, but if any of you fall into that category, as a S corporation or C corporation, you are required to pay yourself through payroll. So with that, you will be required to provide payroll reports to show your payroll income. And so those are pretty much your main forms: payroll reports, 1099 miscellaneous forms, 1099K forms, or a Schedule C from your personal tax return.
Thanks, Brandi. That was super helpful. So again, if you have not filed your 2019 tax return, which a lot of us have not, that's fine. You can actually just use your 2018 Schedule C that Brandi is referring to. But again, you're going to have to pull out them 1099s, your Schedule C, or that income statement, that profit and loss statement that Brandi is referring to. All right. So if you have any questions about that, please drop them in. So we're seeing the questions being posted, and we're getting ready to get to that. Only thing that I'm going to address right now is unemployment. Because someone asked me in the last couple of days, can I apply for the Paycheck Protection Program and unemployment? And the answer to that is no. You're going to have to pick one or the other. And if it were me, I would be looking to see potentially which one I would get the most money in. So depending upon your state, that will determine the maximum that you're going to get in state unemployment. For those of us who live in Georgia like we do, the weekly maximum for Georgia right now is $330 a week. Plus, with the CARES Act, you may be entitled to the additional $600 a week from the federal government. Now, what's a little tricky here with unemployment is they're saying that contractors are eligible for the first time. However, most states aren't ready to actually process those applications yet. So I would probably go with the PPP first, apply for that. And if I were denied for the PPP, I would apply for unemployment. So that way you kind of have a plan B, all right? And that will give the states a minute to get caught up. So if you have any unemployment questions, please post those as well. And right now we're going to get into some of the questions that you all are posting. And again, whether it's about this specific program, another program, or something else, anything that we can help guide you guys on right now, again, please post your questions. We want to make sure that everyone is straight. Okay, Ani, I'm going to come to you first with our first question. This is from our friend Aaron Adams. Hey, Aaron. He says, when is it determined if you have to pay the PPP loan back? How do you know if you have to pay it back?
So, Aaron, that's a great question. And as it stands now, so keep this in, perspective, things are changing constantly. You have to reach out to your lender. And so after 8 weeks, the intent is that you would have spent the money because they're going to potentially loan you 8 weeks worth of payroll, 8 weeks worth of rent. And after those 8 weeks, you reach back out to the lender and they will tell you what documents are required to prove that the loan was used for the business purposes as stated and that you agreed to. And then they will determine what portion is forgivable. So one thing that's really important to remember, this loan is really meant to mainly pay payroll cost. So 75%, so say you were awarded, I'm just gonna throw a number out here, $2,000. 75% of that is supposed to be used for payroll costs. The other 25% can be used for your rent, your utilities, those other things that are stipulated in that document that we shared earlier. But if you get out of proportion, that could risk the amount that's forgivable. So even if you still use that $2,000 on all those things listed, but say you use 85% on, let's say I'll go the other way around, say you use 50% on your rent and your utilities, well now a portion of that loan is not gonna, all of that will not be forgiven most likely based on how it is written today.
Okay. And so Ani, let me ask you this, because let's assume they're going to be people who are going to apply for the PPP. They're actually going to get the PPP. However, they don't use the money in that direct proportion. what will happen if all of it isn't converted into a grant? What's going to happen, with that PPP loan then?
So then it's actually a loan at a 1% interest rate. And the first 6 months, you do not have to pay anything. After that, you will begin payments. It is a 2-year term, again, according to how it is currently written. So you will have to pay the money back. However, it's a 1% loan. You can't really go anywhere else and get a 1% loan right here now. So if you need the money, keep in perspective, 1% is still a great interest rate. And that's one thing we just want to, if you need it, get it. Don't get scared by it being a loan versus a grant if you need it. Because where can you get a 1% loan? I don't know if there's any place you can.
Okay, thanks for that. One more question from Aaron. He says, I'm an administrator for various clients. As such, can I submit an application for each of my small business independent contractor clients? And team, I'll answer that. And my understanding of the law, Aaron, is yes. So each person needs to submit their own application to their own bank. So it can't come through you as the administrator. It's actually whoever the independent contractor is, or that whoever that sole proprietor is. So yes, I'm suggesting that everybody who has typically been paid that way, all the people we know in the industry, front of house, back of house, dancers, DJs, whomever it is, everybody, each one of us separately can actually apply. All right. So yes, you can help them do the paperwork, but again, it has to go through their own bank. Okay, so all right, I'm gonna start sending out a few questions to the team. All right, Brandi, first question for you. We have a question that says, do you have to pay taxes on the money that you receive?
That is a good question. So no, you do not have to pay taxes on the portion of the money that is forgiven. So as Ani explained not too long ago, if the entire portion is forgiven, you won't have to pay taxes at all. But if there's any portion that you spent over 25% on something other than payroll, there may be a portion that you have to pay back, and that portion will be subject to taxes.
Okay, thanks. That's very helpful. All right, Chris, there's another question. I'm going to direct this one to you. It says, what's the total income amount you can claim? So if people are doing their calculation, figuring out that form, what's the maximum income level that you can put on there?
The maximum is 100,000. You cannot go over that. So if your salary is 150, you can only do your calculation based off of $100,000.
Okay, got it. Thanks very much.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Ani, I'm going to come to you with our next question. It says, if my bank isn't doing the PPP loan program, where can I go to get the loan? Ani, you're on mute. We can't hear you.
Thank you.
No problem.
Oh, sorry about that. If your bank is not a participating lender in this program, you will have to find a lender that is participating, and you'll have to reach out to them to see what the steps are. Every lender is going to be different. Some may say, we're not accepting any new accounts for the purposes of the PPP program, and some will say, yes, we are. However, we don't know that answer right now. So I would just say, go to that website, and I can put that in the chat as well. It's a website that says approved lenders. You search for the closest one to you and start reaching out. And if you know anybody else in your community that is working with another lender, ask for a recommendation. That's always a good route to go as well.
All right, thanks, Ani. All right, next question from CP says, if I own a business or LLC and I paid people as independent contractors, pay them as 1099s, can I use their 1099s as payroll verification? So I'm going to respond to this one because I want to make sure that I understand your question the right way. So it sounds like you're you own a company, but you're paying people as 1099s, it sounds like to me those people are going to have to actually file their own PPP. Because this is what happened to us. We were doing applications for our clients. We had included our W-2, all of their W-2 employees and their contractor employees. When we submitted the applications, they all got back to us. We had to remove all of the contractors. So team, again, please chime in if you all need to add anything. But you can only, this is payments for you. You're not going to get money for other people who are contractors. They need to apply themselves. Anybody? Raise your hand if there's anything else we want to add to that. We're good on that one, team? Our team is good? Okay, good. All right. All right, so Aaron has another question. He says, I submitted an application last week for the CARES Act that mentions this PPP program, but the application Envision sent is different from the application I filled out online. Should I do this application as well? Ani? Oh my God.
Oh my gosh. Aaron, only if you knew the struggle of our life. We have filled out literally 3 applications per client in the last week because they are constantly changing. It started with you work, you can do this, it looks like that. If your lender has not come back and asked for an updated application, I would not do an updated application. If they come back, that's when you know you need to do, because some of them are taking the information and because they're actually inputting it into the SBA website. So that's how they're securing the loan. So if they have not come back to you, I would not do those extra steps. But if you're going, if you're just doing it for the first time for another client of yours, then yes, I would use the most recent form or application.
All right, thanks, Ani. And Aaron, the forms have literally changed 3 times, and this is in less than 7 days. And when we say the forms have changed, the government, the SBA has reformatted the forms literally 3 times. So I don't know what else is going to happen. And also what they've been requesting that we submit as backup documentation has also changed multiple times as well. So I want to make sure that you all just be open and flexible. And then please just keep going back to the SBA.gov's website to get the most current information because it's changing. Okay, another good question. This is from Will. He said, I'm listed as a sole proprietor. I'm not looking to take out a loan necessarily, but I'm starting to see that I may be eligible for unemployment, but I'm still confused about the process. How do I know if I'm eligible? IRS.gov is kind of vague. All right, team, I'm going to handle this unemployment one. You're going to have to go to your state Department of Labor's website. So again, whatever state, just Google Department of Labor, and then that's going to tell you how to apply for unemployment. Now, what's a little tricky is, I know I looked at Georgia and California this week, and they specifically have not put up anything for sole proprietors and self-employed yet. And so what's happening, self-employed people are applying, but the state actually isn't ready. So when I was watching the news yesterday, they were saying states could need potentially at least 2 to 3 more weeks before they're going to be able to accept applications for the self-employed. Now, for those of y'all who live in LA, y'all are winning because I watched the mayor of LA last night on ABC, and LA, what California is doing in LA specifically, they are creating their own team to help support small business owners fill out these forms. So they're smart because they know if they can get money to their small business owners in their state, that helps their state win. So I want you to go to LA, you're going to have to Google, because I don't remember the website right now, but They have their own separate CARES support in LA. They have additional grants and funding in LA because, of course, they know how big the community is. So you all are going to get additional support and help completing the forms because they want you all to get that money as quickly as possible. So, Will, thanks for applying, but reaching out, but please make sure, again, go to Georgia, your Department of Revenue. All right, so we only have time for a couple more questions. So again, everyone who's on this webinar, please feel free to reach out to us after the webinar. If you need information, you have any questions, you may email us, you may call us. So please, again, please follow up with us. We want to make sure that you're getting the guidance that you need. All right, Brandi, question for you. If I owe back taxes, will I get denied for the PPP or my stimulus check?
So if you owe back taxes, no, you will not get denied for the PPP, nor will you get denied for the stimulus check. The only thing you cannot still owe is child support. So if you have child support back taxes, that will hinder you from getting the stimulus check and the PPP funds.
And so, Brandi, just for clarification, can you get a stimulus check and the PPP?
Yes, you can get both.
Okay. So some more not so good news. So on the news yesterday, they were saying for those of you who have filed and given your information for direct deposit, they suspect that they're going to start releasing funds in about 2 more weeks. Those of you who are going to get checks, they say it could take up until September for everybody to get their checks. So this was literally on ABC last night that they expect it to take that long, August and September, because they're going to send the checks out in waves. I don't know if it's by state. I'm not sure how they're doing it, but it could literally be September. So you're going to have to make another plan if you're counting on that money, because I think it might take you a minute. Okay. All right, Chris, question for you, and we're going to wrap up this webinar. Says, I have a record. I've been convicted of a felony. Will I get approved for the PPP loan?
Well, actually, there is some verbiage that really is just not quite clear. So what we're just advising everyone is to go ahead and apply and just let them, make the decision from there. But because there are some questions on the application that is inquiring about felonies and your crime history, but just go ahead and apply and just let them make the decision. I wouldn't let that scare you away.
Okay. All right, Chris, thanks for that. As we get ready to wrap up, because there was one other question in the queue that I just had to reach out to someone because I just need clarification because I don't know what the acronym stands for. We'll wait for that. So as we wrap up, Ani, based on our experience, a week knee deep into this, 3 iterations of submitting forms for people, any last words or advice you have for the folks tuning in?
Be flexible. Because it's a work in progress. The government is doing their best, right, to get all the information out. So be flexible. If you have a contact at the bank, stay in touch. Make sure they have everything they need from you. Just do a follow-up. Is there anything else I'm missing? Sometimes they're juggling a lot and they might not reach out to you, but doesn't mean you can't reach out to them. So if you have a relationship, I would say with your banker, and if not, this is the time to definitely start developing one. But be patient and be flexible.
Okay, Ani, thank you. All right, Chris, as we're wrapping up, any last words of advice for folks? Again, after our week being knee deep in this.
Sorry, I was talking to myself. But just a little different from what Ani said. She said, be flexible. I'm saying, as hard as it is, but to be patient. I mean, these people are out here working, you know, we are dealing with the government, and the government is just not on our time. So to be flexible and be patient, which I know sometimes is very hard to do, especially when it comes down to money. So just try to be creative, take advantage of all of the things that are within your power to take advantage of, and just be patient.
All right, thanks, Chris. And Brandi, just again, your experience dealing with clients or supporting folks over this last week and all that's gone on over the last several weeks. Any advice?
I kind of just agree with everything that Chris and Ani already shared. The only other thing that I would say is go ahead and just make sure that you start gathering your backup documentation, because we know that's going to be very important in getting approved for this loan. And even if you have doubts about whether or not you will get approved, do not let that hinder you from putting in an application. I think you should go ahead and submit an application anyway.
Yeah. Brandi, you just brought up something really important. What we've been told is after you get approved and you get your money, in 60 days that we all are going to be required to submit some documentation. Don't know exactly what that's going to be. I'm sure within 60 days that's going to change. I have no idea how the SBA is going to review or the bank's going to review all that documentation, but you need to be prepared. So if you're spending the money, you're going to have to keep really, really, really good records. Someone did ask a question, can people who have a nonprofit organization, can they apply? Yes, you actually can. So this is for for-profit and nonprofit organizations. So yes, nonprofits can also apply for this PPP, Paycheck Protection Program. The only other thing that I'd like to say as we wrap up is I just need our community just to take a longer range view, because, you know, I saw on Live Nation's website, they have shows listed in June or July, and I just don't think that's going to happen. And again, not to be negative, but we can't go from social distancing to 5,000 people being in an arena together or a venue together. So I want you all to have a plan. Hey, if we don't have any more shows this year, what is my plan going to be? And we need to collectively be planning for that. We can help you strategically plan for that, you know, doing the math, because it takes math to figure that out. Basic math, no algebra, no calculus, addition and subtraction. And then also, what other sources of revenue can you generate right now so you can have some stability? Because you want to live off of income. You don't want to live off of assets, money you already have in the bank. You need more money coming in. So want to make sure that you're just thinking about those ideas and that we're collectively sharing those. And again, reach out to us. Any other topic that you all want us to do a webinar on, we'd be happy to do that. And make sure that you guys are good. Thank y'all for tuning in. And we're going to send this recording out to you all, so you'll have it, so you can refer back to it or share it with someone else you think might need some help. All right. So thanks for tuning in. Alicia, let everybody wave goodbye. See y'all later. Thanks, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, hang up.